Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Welcome to another episode of the Dynamic Dilettante. We always enjoy this. We have a good time getting together with you each and every week. And I hope you saw the special issue or the special episode, I guess, that we did. My granddaughter, Robin, she was hoping that I would mention her on the show. So a couple of days ago, I thought, well, mention her on the show. We can do better than that. So we recorded something brief, posted it on the website. And she gave us her thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion. And I had some fun with her. And so we had a really good time, but she was hoping I would mention her on the show. Hi, sweetheart. Hope you're doing well. Thinking of you, and I really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you so much for being on with us last week. Now we're on to other things. I'm excited this past week. I've got to tell you this. We've been talking throughout Strange New Worlds. It's the show on Paramount Plus, Captain Pike, and the crew of the Enterprise prior to James T. Kirk. And I'm just spoilers here. Spoilers. If you wanted to see it, chances are you already have anyway. The episode premiered on Friday. And I've got to say, I thought it was really great. It was really a cool kind of look. It took a very classic episode of Star Trek, the original series, William Shatner as James T. Kirk, the Romulans, and our first look at the Romulans, and it put Captain Pike in that position, and instead of Kirk being there and being in command of the Enterprise, it's Pike. He has changed the future through some actions that he took. And that is one of my favorite episodes. It's called Balance of Terror from the original series. It is a great episode, and they really did it justice. One of the things I have loved about Strange New Worlds is that they have treated Star Trek with a lot of reverence and a lot of respect. Unlike, I think, some other franchises that are out there, not to be named, like, I don't know, Star Wars. They've treated Star Trek with a lot of reverence, a lot of respect. And even though they are redoing things, they are redoing them slightly. And there were just so many things about that episode that were really, really good, really, really stood out. And I just loved it. I thought it was a great season finale for Strange New Worlds. And in it, Captain Pike is attempting to let some people, he has had a glimpse of the future, and he knows what's going to happen. He knows what's going to happen to him. He knows he's going to happen to some other officers in Starfleet, and he sets about trying to prevent that. And in doing so, completely changes the timeline. And he gets a visit from his future self, I think 10 years, his future self, who comes back. And it was a great conversation between the two of them. He comes back wearing what is very much a uniform, obviously modeled on the Star Trek movies, Star Trek 2, 3, 4, the maroon jacket. And they changed it, as they have done with everything in Strange New Worlds. They changed it, but clearly that's what it was meant to be. Pike has avoided the future that he hoped, but he's also gotten the Federation into a war with the Romulans. And it's really, really good. I just thought that was a terrific episode, and it ended on a great note. There were so many things that episode that I loved, right down to there was some music from the original episode that they reused. And for classic Star Trek fans, one of the things is the music just really jumps out. There are certain pieces of music, when you hear them, you can almost name the episode or what episode it was first used in, originally written for. And they reuse some of those pieces quite a bit. Well, to reuse it in Strange New Worlds, I thought was just, Katie will vouch for this. I'm just, oh man.
Apparently, I haven't seen that episode from the original series, so I
You
guess
have, but you don't. You wouldn't notice the music. I've watched it.
Yeah,
I've watched it once. I watched it 150 times.
Right. So
in fairness to you, I would not have expected you to.
But
did I not right away go, oh? So there were so many things like that in this episode that I just really, really loved. Now, Katie, have you enjoyed it as much? You've been very complimentary about the show.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a long-term Star Trek Trekkie or Trek whore.
Trekkie, Trekor, Trekker. There's a bunch of different terms.
A purveyor of...
Each one means something different. So
yes.
Be careful who you call a Trekkie, a Trekker, or a Trekor.
One who consumes Star Trek type media. No, I've enjoyed it. Like I said, I've tried to watch, I don't know how many years of Star Trek in like a condensed less than a year span. Because I mean, I think in the last year I've tried to watch most of Deep Space Nine. I've even ventured into Voyager. All the movies. And then Next Gen, and then
yep.
I mean, I've seen some of the original series. I haven't seen them all. That's a task I have yet to undertake. But
there are some I wouldn't show you.
Right.
There are some I would say, don't waste your time with this one.
Well, I made that mistake with watching the film, so I've learned to listen to you on that one. But I think it's not so. There's a lot there that you can like. It's very character driven, which is a formula that's worked for other shows in the Star Trek franchise, and they really do let the characters drive the storyline. Like this one really focused on Pike, whereas like the last one focused on, I can't remember the engineer's name.
Oh yeah, who and I know it too. Who died the last episode.
Correct.
Or was left to die.
Which left for a nice Easter egg in this episode.
Which actually was, I guess, he knew that. I've in the reading that I've done, he knew that from the beginning, that this was a character that was not expected to survive the first season, and he didn't.
And it's been a really, it's entertaining. There's some levity. It's not taking itself so seriously. And just seeing Anson Mount in other shows, it's very Anson Mount. I mean, they're kind of letting him do his thing and really bringing that to Captain Pike's character. Because if I remember right, Captain Pike hasn't really been on screen very much, short of appearances in what the original or in the motion picture and then the pilot, correct? Of TOS.
No, he's only seen originally.
Okay.
You're talking about in Star Trek the original series.
Yep.
Yeah, we only saw him in either the Cage, which is the pilot, which they then reused to do the Menagerie.
Right.
So that's the only time we've seen Captain Pike.
My bad. For some reason, I was thinking he was in the motion picture as well.
No.
But so he hasn't been on screen very much, and so it really allows for Anson Mount to really make that character his own, short of having to do any wonky timeline stuff.
Right.
Which this one does a bit of, but it's not like you've got the timeline police like you do in like Deep Space Nine and crap.
Right.
I mean, it's funny what they do there, but it's not. It's just his future self coming back to be like, you need to really play this timeline out because you'll see what the.
Yeah, you cannot take this action that you are doing because the Klingons wanted to kill him. They wanted to kill him to prevent him from doing this because it's changed the future so much.
Right. So.
And I'll tell you, the way that they tied that episode, and you and I actually should watch Balance of Terror.
Yeah.
And then compare it to this, because I've got to tell you, so much of the dialogue in that show is almost line for line out of Balance of Terror.
And I know just in watching it, you had remarked, you're like, well, what are they doing here? Are they getting rid of Kirk? What are they doing? You know?
Right.
And Surprisingly not. I mean, they just shifted Kirk over to being captain of the Farragut.
Farragut, correct.
Um,
And he's in this episode.
Yep.
Paul Wesley, who was playing Captain Kirk, who I thought was pretty great.
Yep.
We'll see what they wind up writing for him. I know he's going to be in the premiere of season 2. So we'll see more of him. But I thought it was a great introduction. He's a smart character, smart guy, and obviously thinks a lot different from Pike. And you saw that in this episode.
Yeah. Where Pike's very diplomatic. Pike wants to go by the book. Pike wants to give everybody every opportunity. Kirk he's a cowboy. That's literally what he is. I mean, it's shoot from the hip, feel your gut, and roll with it. So they're
a different way of looking at things, clearly,
right.
Because Pike's way does not work.
Well.
Not work in this episode. Right. The Romulans wind up then triggering a war against the Federation, largely as a result of his actions.
Yep. And I want to say, for some reason, the guy who was playing the Romulan in the first cloak ship, he looked familiar from something else, and I can't quite pin him. But I swear he's been in some other Star Trek.
I should have looked it up.
I'll find it. But
problem for me is I am such a fan of Mark Leonard, who played the Romulan commander in the original. He came back as Sarek, Spock's father, not only in the series, but he came back in several of the motion pictures that Mark Leonard played Sarek. So I'm such a Mark Leonard fan. So for me, it was harder to let go of that. And again, I thought the actor was good and played it well. He winds up being destroyed rather than destroying himself. He winds up being assassinated then by other Romulans. But I thought he was very good. But I just thought, Mark Leonard was incredible in that part.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't find it. Not off the top of my head. I'll have to dig a little deeper. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was good. I've liked this whole series overall. Probably some of the weakest episodes of this first season. I think were probably the second one, and I think it was like the fourth one. To me, the first one I wasn't real keen on either, the series premiere. But as the season has gone on, yeah, they've definitely
gotten remarkably better.
Yes, because I know the first ones we were kind of like, I don't know about this, but as it's gone on, it's gotten better.
Yeah, I think it has too. They really have found their way, and I think that's in keeping with some of what I was reading from Anson Mount, who was saying, as he was looking back at it by like episode 6, he was saying, we are really starting to find our stride, and now we've seen the first season of episodes, and it's like, yeah, absolutely agree. They are finding their stride.
Which is something of note, because most Star Trek series haven't seemed to found their stride until they're a couple seasons in.
Yeah.
So now I don't know.
Star Trek The Next Generation is a great example.
Season 3, I believe.
Yeah. Once Gene Roddenberry was out of the way.
Yeah.
Seriously, I love Gene Roddenberry, loved his vision, love a lot of the things. But unfortunately, he got to a point, I think, for me, in my opinion, I thought he was sidetracking that series from what it could be, and eventually then where it wound up going.
Right. Because it got, having kind of binge watched Next Gen in such a short period of time, it definitely got substantially better. I mean, going through seasons 1 and 2 were kind of a drag, and then it starts picking up in season 3.
Yep.
So,
because once it starts to click, writers, actors, they're all finding their way together. And when because it really is a collaborative effort. So when you have something like that and it's all coming together and everybody's starting to pop, and it shows. Yes.
And I mean, the other characters have worked well. I mean, there's a couple that I'm not too keen on. I'm still not keen on, can't think of what her name is, Spana Khan.
Yeah.
Can't think of what her name is. I'm just not very, I don't know. She has moments.
You don't see much of her in this last episode of the season.
You don't. There are moments that work well for her throughout the first season, and then there are other ones where it's just like, just doesn't. I mean, she's kind of whiny on screen, and to me, that just really isn't appealing.
Well, and as this season has gone on,
yeah,
they've started to find that character.
Yeah,
it's gotten remarkably better from where it started.
Right.
Because she was, you and I talked about this. She was unlikable.
No.
And I'm like, write her out, get her out of there.
Yep.
Seriously. Because she was not a benefit to the show in any way.
Because about the only thing she drove forward was the Gorn storyline. Now, what they end up doing with that, I don't know. I know that'll be a repeat or something that'll come back. Just how they were kind of setting it up, unless they just axe it all together. But I would think it's a pretty safe bet that you'll see the Gorn probably in season 2.
Right.
Obviously you'll see probably more of the Romulans.
Yes.
And then I forget what other they kind of set up. I can't think of the guys, the one Vulcan's character, Spock's brother.
Sybok.
Yes. Then they kind of set up Sybok.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty much what you kind of saw set up through the entire first
season. And now
season.
they've set up Captain Kirk. We've seen Kirk at the con of the Farragut, which is original series fans know that's the ship he served on. It actually comes up in one of the episodes, original series episode called Obsession, the one with that vampire cloud. Do you remember me watching that? Where he talks about check the tapes of the starship Farragut. And that's where he was not a commander, but he was a junior officer on board the Farragut.
Yeah, because if I remember right, the Farragut, he was a lieutenant.
Yes.
Part of the Farragut.
Correct. Serving his first deep space mission, in fact.
Yep. So, yeah, I think it's kind of there. I mean, it's working. It's just, what do they do with it?
Yeah, we'll see. Based on this last episode, the season finale, I'm very, very impressed, and I'm excited to see where they take it. I think this, Anson Mount being visited by a future version of himself and, giving himself the chance to, you have got to change, you cannot do this. You cannot take these actions. Here's what the result will be, and allows him then to live a portion of that. I thought that was something different from what we have seen from Star Trek before.
Right. Because a lot of times from Star Trek, when they've done the time travel stuff or the time, you get the temporal anomalies and whatnot. I mean, normally you can just aim the deflector dish at it and it's all good to go.
No, that's the next generation.
Oh, yeah, because you just recalibrate the deflector dish and it's all good for everything.
Right.
No, most of the time you have some kind of evil something or other coming back through some kind of temporal anomaly to kind of confront something, and then they're trying to rectify the timeline so that doesn't happen. Or I guess probably one of the better ones from like Next Gen, where they did the time travel deal, is where the Enterprise C comes back.
Yes.
That's
Yesterday's Enterprise. That is a great episode.
I mean, and because they play around with timeline a lot in Next Gen, especially with Q.
Yeah. See, the original series actually did not. They had one episode where the ship was accidentally wound up moving back in time, and then Spock at the end of the episode says, "We know now that time travel is possible. We can go to any time, any place, any planet that we want." So it's just a suggestion. And then there's another episode where they actually undertake that. They use the same method. It's called a breakaway maneuver. They break away from the sun. You see that in Star Trek 4, then the voyage home, the breakaway maneuver.
Yep.
Break away from the sun, propels them initially backward in time, and then they move forward. And after the maneuver, they move forward in time, and they can stop them wherever they want.
And they didn't even have to bring a whale back.
So that's what gets them around throughout the series, was the breakaway. Yeah.
and then you've got as it
So it
moves
only
on.
happened a couple of times actually in the original series.
And I mean, I think time travel as itself can be good and it can be bad. It's how is it used? I mean,
Yes.
if it's used too much, it gets to be overdone, and that it's great when you see it once in a while because it's special. But it's like when you eat ice cream every day, it's just not as special. Except for me, I love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's a bad example.
Well, for the average. But it just, I don't know, because there are some times where like they've done some time travel stuff and it's just fallen flat. You're just kind of Voyager way uses
Yeah.
time travel.
Yeah.
Especially with that story set up.
Yeah. Because then it becomes a device. It's not a meaningful,
Right. Because it's like, well, if you were going to use time travel, then your 75-year journey would have been done in a season.
Right.
Got to milk it for 7 seasons, so.
Well, this is where I think in the original series, one of the episodes where they first, they use the breakaway to go back in time. They're just monitoring the past. That's their mission, is just there to watch key events unfold. And they wind up, actually, there's a couple of episodes where they go back. One where they intercept Gary 7, who he's being beamed to Earth from another planet. And they're like, how can he beam that far?
Mm-hmm.
They wind up intercepting him. He escapes, and they're trying to get to the bottom of that. That's called Assignment Earth. That's a really good episode. And then there's another one where they accidentally wind up back in time initially, find themselves in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And they intercept that Air Force pilot.
Yep.
And they wind up discovering that they've got to return him to the timeline because his son winds up making a significant contribution. He doesn't, but his son does.
Right.
So they're like, they got to figure out a way to get him back. Episodes like that where there's some compelling,
right. Not just, oh, look, we felt some tachyons and
right.
I believe it's tachyons pop up and then
right.
we're in some kind of time dilemma.
Yeah. But I thought Strange New Worlds handled it really well.
Yes.
It was a great episode. You got, of course, the whole series is, a nod to Star Trek, the original series. But now you got a nod to the movies with the uniform that Pike is wearing. It's that maroon jacket. And like, oh, seen this one before. It's,
Well, yeah, and they throw it at you right away at the beginning of before they even play the opening credits of the show. So, I mean, it really hooks you right away. Because I know it had accidentally autoplayed for me, and that's why I'm like, oh, hey, this popped up, and you were just like, you gotta watch that now. Yeah, I mean,
it was fun. It's been a fun series, and I can't say that about a lot of stuff that's being turned out anymore.
Oh, considering what we've had to watch, I mean, it was always kind of nice because Obi-Wan was popping up on Wednesdays, and then at least we had Strange New Worlds to look forward to on Thursdays because
we were depressed. We were. You watched Obi-Wan, it's like, oh,
I can't remember how many episodes I fell asleep through. Couldn't watch it in the afternoon. I'd be out cold.
I will not mock you falling asleep, especially during that show.
Moon Knight was another one.
Yeah. It took effort to stay awake, I think, during those programs. So Strange New Worlds is like a breath of fresh air. They're getting it. And again, for original series fans, and I know a lot of people are not necessarily fans of the original series. For an original series fan like me, who knows that show Balance of Terror, knows it really well. It's one of my favorites. I'd have to say, if I were to pick my 5 favorite episodes of the original series, that would be one of them. Yeah. It's a great episode. And they are mimicking the behavior of characters in that episode, and I had some problems there. It's like, okay, wait a minute. How is this person now mirroring the exact, dialogue or the feelings or attitude of another character who's somebody else?
Right.
That was a bit of a stretch, but I was willing to overlook that.
Well, I know you were also pretty excited to hear that even though the original engineer for the Enterprise died in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Well, your Easter egg, who was it this time around?
Yeah. We hear Scotty on the speakers. We don't see him.
But we hear Scotty.
Yeah. But they're in the Jeffries tube, and it's the voice of Scotty is directing him.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that was sweet. I love that.
And one other thing this episode really does is it really takes a hard look at the relationship with Spock and the captain as well, because of the events that happen, and
because Pike actually opens up to him and tells him what's going on,
right?
That he's from the past, 10 years past,
right? And to be able to what is the significance? Why was I saying what am I here to learn?
Right.
So you really. There's quite a bit in that relationship too. So, yeah.
One of the things that we never really saw, because the only thing we had was the 2-part episode in the original series, The Menagerie, between Spock and Pike. So that was the only episode that we had to show any interaction between the two of them. What they have done in this show, in Strange New Worlds, is really set up that relationship between Pike and Spock. And it really works. I think it works really well.
So, I mean, end of the day, what works, what doesn't work for Strange New Worlds? What works is, I think there was actually people involved with the production of that show who actually understood what Star Trek was, what Star Trek is, what draws fans to it, what makes it special, what gives you that Star Trek feeling when you watch it.
Yeah.
Versus I've seen other stuff where I've watched some Discovery episodes. I didn't watch a ton of Picard, but I watched a few episodes. That one was a little off for me. It didn't really work for me. I didn't like Picard.
I would agree. But it doesn't recapture Star Trek The Next Generation.
But again, I didn't watch probably enough of it to give it a fair shot. So that's just me though. I know
you don't need to watch very much to boil that down.
I mean, I watched probably about 5 or 6 episodes of Discovery, and for me that was enough to be like, I know probably within the first couple of episodes if it's going to hook me or not. And for me, I'm one of those people, I don't have a very long attention span, so if there's going to be something compelling in the show to draw me to it,
that's not true. I don't think that's fair. What you are looking for is something that's going to interest you, and it's going to do it from the beginning, from the get-go. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's bad that we demand certain things from our entertainment, because our entertainment right now generally stinks.
That's true. So for me, that's what works with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, is that there's compelling stories. They really have good actors in it. It's a well-written show. It meshes with a lot of the things that make Star Trek special from a lot of the other series in the franchise.
Yeah, certainly for me.
And I mean, it's saying something when we've watched, what is the animated series? Lower Decks. That's another one.
Yes.
People, from what I read on
reviews,
reviews,
also well thought of by fans who love that show.
People either love it or hate it. And the people who hate it say it's just like, every other Family Guy, or it's like something else.
No,
and it's not.
No, it's not.
Because there's humor there where if you're just the casual Star Trek observer, or you don't even have to be involved with Star Trek. I mean, if you know the general jokes with Star Trek, you'll get, or the general plots with Star Trek, you'll get most of the show.
And if you're a hardcore fan like me, there are other jokes in there that you get that are planted just for you. And I love that.
And again, it's written by people who have an appreciation for it and want to give fans something that they know they'll appreciate.
Exactly.
And that's what works.
And that's the difference between Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and some of the other crud that's been out there.
Right.
I think.
So, I mean, I would encourage people, if you have access to Paramount Plus, this is not in having me versus you. I've watched Star Trek and stuff like that. I've seen a number of the different series. I'm not a hardcore where I'm in to learn every technical manual or anything like that. Which is cool.
Are you mocking me and my technical manuals?
That's for another show. But I mean, it's like Marvel or anything else for me. I'm not hardcore into the comic books, but I take it for what I'm seeing on screen, and I have an appreciation for that. Strange New Worlds is something that the average person can approach Star Trek with, where they're not having to know the whole mythos of Star Trek to be able to appreciate it. I mean, somebody can just jump in and watch it. I would recommend starting at the first episode.
I'm glad you feel that way. And no, honestly, and I'm glad they've been able to deliver that for people who are not familiar with the series.
Right. And it's really a great place to onboard people for Star Trek.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my take on it.
And I thought the first season, again, took them a few episodes to really kind of start hitting on all thrusters. They did. It was a great first season. Paul Wesley as Captain Kirk. Again, I'm excited to see what that character is going to bring. It was fun to watch him. Fun to see that. For an old school guy like me, Captain Kirk he's.
And I think that's going to be something where, with him playing Captain Kirk, you're going to have to take it back just a little bit and understand that if they're writing him into the script for the upcoming seasons, Kirk's character, I think they need to be careful with not making it overlap with the original series, so that it can let Paul Wesley be Paul Wesley, the early Kirk.
Yes.
And then, you still got William Shatner, who was the Kirk.
Right.
So I think if you start getting some overlay, I think, because I mean, like I said, it's kind of like Sean Connery is the James Bond. I mean, he made that character, all the tropes about that character, they were all set up by how Sean Connery played that character.
I would agree.
And it's kind of the same thing with Kirk and William Shatner. William Shatner made that character. And so he's so iconic that I don't think you can take another actor and have him play the same timeline as what the original one was.
No, the same thing for Chris Pine, Chris Pine, who played, Captain Kirk in the series of films that they did. And I thought he was phenomenally good.
Right.
It's a little bit different character, but it was, it's true enough to Kirk, and, finding his way with Spock and McCoy at his side, we got a flavor of that, but they also set it up in that case. It was a different timeline and a different history as to why he had become captain of the Enterprise and so on. But I thought that was phenomenally well done.
Yep. That would be my only reservation seeing Paul Wesley playing Kirk going forward, is just that. Because, I mean, like I said, that's so ingrained in Star Trek, how William Shatner played. You'd almost do it a disservice by trying to have somebody else emulate him as, in the current time series.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents, though.
Yeah, well, it was...
if it was Disney doing it, they would totally go there. But let's hope that...
Thank God Star Trek is not owned by Disney, like everything else is.
Hopefully CBS Paramount can kind of put that one together.
Yeah. Hold fast, people.
You open up your internet tomorrow and watch, you're going to see it front page of Google.
Right.
Disney now buying.
Oh, don't even. You can't even joke about that.
Oh, that would be so bad. That'd be terrible. But you had found some other. I think we'll obviously look forward to that when it rolls around next year, and I don't know when the next season's set to premiere again, but
yeah, I don't either.
I
should have looked.
They just wrapped, I think, shooting it, didn't they?
Writing
it.
Season 2, yeah.
Yeah.
They just wrapped shooting it.
Yeah, so it takes about a year post-production. You had some other stuff with William Shatner.
I've seen a lot of stuff, old commercials and whatnot with William Shatner. The old Vic 20 commercials, a lot of us have seen those from back in the day. I had never seen this. This is a video that he was in where he introduces the future of robotics. This is from 1984. 1984 was the year. So this would have been around the time of Wrath of Khan, and he's talking about the future of robotics. Do you have that clip? We'll roll just a clip.
Let's get on with our story without...
Mr. Shatner. Mr. Shatner.
This robot interrupts him.
May I have your autograph, please?
Isn't that cute? This big character wants my autograph.
The robot wants his autograph.
You know, when most people think about robot, they very possibly visualize something like this one. Or maybe a larger.
Actually, it was pretty cool. Anyway, I thought it was kind of cute. He signs the autograph and gives it back to the robot.
Here, I'll roll it forward just a little.
There you go.
You know what this reminded me of? When I heard that robot speak, it reminded me of Sam the Automatic Mouth for the Commodore 64.
In the
I
trade,
was going to say
robots like
the descending 8-bit tone. I'm like,
right.
That sounds like Galaga when the ships start flying down at you in Galaga.
They
drop
that's another game. Gorf.
Okay, my bad. Gorf.
Yeah.
That's
they
what that
call you a space cadet.
Yeah.
Usually I can wind up getting killed so early and they call me a space cadet. Anyway, it was kind of cool. I'd never seen this video before. It's pretty wild. And so he asks a question in it. Now, keep in mind, this is scripted. This is not him speaking off the cuff.
Right.
This is something scripted. So he said, robotics seem to point the way toward increased production and improved product quality without corresponding increases in manufacturing costs. And then he says, if that should come to pass, why there ought to be more employment opportunities in the expanding economy, not less, he says. Yeah, now your expression says everything, because what we have seen is actually robotics is not leading to more employment opportunities. It's leading to less, where people are being replaced by robotics. But anyway, as a William Shatner fan, I had never seen that particular video before. It was worth watching.
How many times don't you go to McDonald's and now you don't have you get to put your own order in and
yeah. Well, they have kiosk, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you don't
Most
even
of
have a
them.
person, because people were getting your order wrong so often. They thought, okay, let's just have you put the order in yourself.
Right.
That's how bad help has gotten. Which is bad.
It's like Walmart anymore. You're in some Walmarts, you're hard pressed to find an actual cashier.
Yeah.
But I don't know at Walmart.
And I checked myself out. I would rather check myself out.
Yes.
I went to a supermarket. There's a local supermarket that I frequent. There are a couple that I frequent, but I went to one yesterday. And since I was there last, they put in where you could go in and ring yourself up and take care of it all yourself. And it was amazing how much faster I got out of there.
Yep.
Being able to do it myself rather than having to go through the line and then ring out my items, and it just so much faster. And I noticed they're moving a lot more people through.
Yep. Well, it's like there's a gas station when I have to do some traveling for work. There's a gas station.
Yeah.
And smack dab of the center of the state, probably one of the last couple of times I've been there, they put in a self-checkout. And they usually only have one cashier ringing up people, and then the other person's typically doing fuel for like semis and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I mean they're busy running fuel for them.
Right.
It's a large truck stop.
Makes sense.
And so you got that one person who's trying to check out 10 people, and then I just look over to the left because I forgot they had put one of those in, and I'm like, self-checkout. Nobody's waiting. I just walk right on over, check out my items, leave the store, and like 2 other people are just kind of looking at me like,
yeah, what did you just do?
what did you just do?
I love that.
It's like some voodoo or something. But yeah, I mean, some people are like, I'm not paid to self-check, and that's something we could talk about a whole nother time on. I just read some interesting articles on self-checkout where it's like stores, despite the stores taking the loss on like people misringing up stuff or maybe people shoplifting and not checking out their items as they should be, it's still cheaper than what they were paying people to actually ring people out.
And isn't that sad?
It is.
I mean,
totally
it's sad that you find yourself in, as company in that situation.
Absolutely. But I mean, speaking of my mom, not all that long ago and where she lives, Walmart, they never have checkers. It's all self-checkout.
I can't remember the last time I went through a Walmart checkout, and I don't go there that often anyway. But when I do, I'm going to self-checkout whenever possible. Yeah.
I know you were kind of resistant to use self-checkout at first. I think I kind of converted you on that.
You did.
But I'm out. I spend more time talking to the lady that, like at our local grocery store here, I spend more time talking to the lady that is, kind of surveying the self-checkout and keeping stuff clean.
Right.
Than I actually did checking out my crap.
Well, I don't like that. I mean, honestly, it allows me to get in and out of a store faster and get out of their way. I'm happy. I've got my stuff and I can go on my way, and I'm not in their way.
I'm not there to socialize. I'm not there to that. I want to get my crap and get out.
I'm very much like you in that regard. I used to be more of I'm going to go, and every now and again, I will still, I'm looking for something or whatever.
If I stop when I'm on my way home from work, I know what I want because I just didn't want whatever I had in the refrigerator. So I'm in, I'm surgical, I get what I want, and I'm out.
Well, you're talking about food in that case. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I needed ice cream.
But now, in terms of being able to shop online, find stuff online.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that you want, it has just exploded.
Right.
Because you can find things online, you're like, I can't believe you would be able to find this online. Oh, yeah. Wasn't that difficult? Was able to find it, Well,
I recently had to repair my truck. I found all the parts I needed online. And it wasn't too hard. I mean, I messed up, but it wasn't that they sent me the wrong part. It said I screwed the part up.
Well, that happens.
We'll have to talk about self-checkout people in the grocery store sometime. That'll be our Grind Our Gears episode. That could be a whole series. So, other than that, I mean, we were kind of talking about Romulans a little bit with, kind of skip over that other topic, I think. We'll go to New to Geek this week.
New to Geek this week. All right, well, I got to scroll down here to see where.
That's all right. You're the guy who knows everything anyway.
Well, the Romulans are perfect to talk about because of this episode of Strange New Worlds.
So to kind of set it up a little bit, New to Geek this week, if you aren't familiar with what we kind of do, we don't do it every week. We just kind of do it when we can find something interesting, but it's bring to light some topic that, of nerddom or geekdom that you may not be familiar with.
Which I'm the king of.
Yes. And kind of just make it a little bit more approachable for you so you maybe have a better appreciation for some stuff you watch or consume.
Yeah, as you see the Romulans in this Strange New Worlds, for instance, if you're watching Strange New Worlds, the Romulans and the Federation have been enemies for 100 years. They fought previously, never seen each other. So they fought wars, never seen each other. I don't know what triggered the wars. We don't know. We just know historically there has been warfare between the two. The Romulans are very militaristic, and but
they
would rather be captured than, or excuse me, they would rather kill themselves than be captured.
So back up just a little bit. Where do the in the Star Trek universe, where do the Romulans hail from? It kind of sets up their culture a little bit.
Romulus and Remus, which we learn later.
Right. And those for
twin stars, Romulus and Remus.
Twin stars, and for those of you can go back a little bit farther, it's part of Roman mythology is where that comes from.
Exactly.
And they use a very Roman, they use a lot of Roman terminology like praetors and stuff like that in their culture. So I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a Roman history is interesting.
Well, and that's exactly where they drew it from, obviously. Keeping in mind that originally written, this is 1960 science fiction that they were writing.
So what are the big important things when it comes to Romulans? What are
they would rather die than be captured. And one of the things you saw in Strange New Worlds is they are looking for warfare. It is a means of growth and expansion, and they are fierce warriors.
So
they are also an offshoot of the Vulcan race. That's one of the things that they discover in
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, in meeting is that obviously the only time they've seen anybody with pointed ears is Spock. And here are the Romulans. They look like Spock. Do you notice in Strange New Worlds, they put that weird forehead dent that we saw in The Next Generation, where the Romulans had that. And I thought, I wish they had not done. I hated that.
I'm assuming they didn't do that in the original series.
No.
Oh boy, then I can't wait till
because then they look like Vulcans.
I can't wait till we talk about Klingons then. So when we talk about Romulans, we generally hear about the neutral zone as well.
Right.
What's the neutral zone?
It's an area of space where neither side can enter.
So basically,
and entering that is provocation of war.
So basically, we can think about it as the 34th parallel and the DMZ between North and South Korea.
Yeah. And one of the things I commented to you is, and this is where I thought this was a little bit bogus in Strange New Worlds, they've got a Federation fleet and a Romulan fleet looking like they are sitting 150 yards apart from each other, instead of this would be an area of kilometers, you're talking
probably
about miles wide. Yes. So it's miles wide. No, it's not like just across
the street.
Right.
Not like Rocco
a little
Mean Mugging.
wider than that, yeah.
Not like Rocco Mean Mugging the dog across the way.
So I thought that was a bit. I'm like, oh, come on, these ships would not even be anywhere near each other.
So when it comes to the Romulans, who are the big characters? Like who do you see with Romulans that are reoccurring characters throughout the franchise?
You really did not in the original series. You really did not. I mean, we saw the Romulans. One of the only other episodes where we really see the Romulans up close for any length of time was called the Enterprise Incident. It's a Romulan commander who's a female who was in charge, and she's falling for Spock. That was part of that whole thing. Mm-hmm. Kirk steals the cloaking device in that episode, goes aboard to steal the cloaking device. So that's really the only other time in the original series that we see the Romulans, which really kind of left the door open for the Next Generation. Then there was a lot more of their story to be told.
Right. And if I remember right with Next Gen, you really don't start seeing the Romulans a whole lot, and actually until the later seasons as well.
Yeah.
But
and then they wind up, they use them in, some of the later Star Trek movies. When we're talking about the Next Generation movies,
like Nemesis.
Yeah,
and,
Nemesis especially.
Well, and then
Shinzon and all that,
especially with Into Darkness, or not Into Darkness. I'm sorry, with the Christopher Pine, the Kelvin timeline, the first one.
Right, Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek. Sorry, thinking there were some more words.
Right.
There. Because that whole thing is about timeline and the Romulans coming back. They just want to destroy Vulcan.
Yeah. Yeah. One particular Romulan who does, yes.
You just got to bug up his ass.
Right.
So with the Romulans, how is what the Romulans do changed over time? Like, as far as like changed over the timeline in the Star Trek franchise timeline?
I'd say I don't know that they have all that much. They're very plotting.
Mm-hmm.
It's never, nothing with a Romulan is ever what it seems, Because
then you got
they, unlike the Klingons, who they're very honest in who they are, what they want.
Right.
They are very aggressive. The Romulans are, but in a much more stealthy kind of a way.
They're far more deceptive.
I would agree. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the whole other thing with Romulans too is you've got their other wing, their Tel Shiar or whatever.
Yeah,
which is like their
and you
secret
really
service.
didn't. Yeah, and you really didn't start to see that then until the next generation. Yeah.
And then if I remember right, the other thing with Romulans is you look at like as next gen went on, and I think it's getting into more of the. Can't remember if this is into Voyager or if it's in Deep Space Nine where it is. You get some of the Romulans are starting to turn away from the whole super militaristic, and they're trying to be more open and not so isolationist in their reactions.
I would have to say there is one Romulan in the next generation that I loved, and it's Tomalak, the guy who played. I think it's Tomalak, who is just the actor is great as that. He's a great Romulan.
Because I'm trying to think, I can't think of the name of the next gen episode, but there's one where Leonard Nimoy actually comes back.
Yes.
And he's working with the Separatists on Romulus.
Yes. Which was a setup for Star Trek 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a very good episode. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Unification.
Yep. So if somebody's trying to start learning about the Romulans, what are some good episodes to start digging in? Because obviously we start seeing them in the original series. So some of the original series can be kind of hit and miss, that I do know. But what are some episodes about Romulans that person can sit down and watch, learn a little bit, and they're actually so
Balance of Terror, as I was saying, is one of my all-time favorite episodes.
Yep.
That would be one that is a must-watch then. Also, I mentioned the Enterprise incident, cloaking device, the Enterprise going to Kirk under Federation orders, operating secretly to try to steal the Romulan cloaking device. I think is one of probably the only episode of Star Trek where we see the Enterprise in what is clearly a subterfuge mission, spy mission. And that's pretty good, That's where you see Kirk dressed as a Romulan, goes aboard the Romulan ship. Those are must watch. And then again, there are some in the next generation again that are worth watching too.
Yeah, the Romulans are a very reoccurring species in the next.
Much more so in the next generation.
Yep. And there are multi-part episodes where they'll have a story arc for a few episodes.
Yes.
Instead of just like a one and done.
Right.
Awesome. So if I'm trying to convince somebody that I know anything about Romulans, what do I tell them? They just hate everybody in war.
They look like Vulcans.
But they're not?
No. In fact, they are much more passionate, angry, plotting, evil.
So, they're kind of like the polar opposite of Vulcans, where Vulcans
Pretty
are very
much.
logical and logic driven and what makes sense.
Right.
Not very dispatch or not removed from emotion, Romulans would be the opposite of that.
At least their leadership is. The Romulan people's different.
Right.
And that's one of the things where they brought Leonard Nimoy in the unification, is that the Romulan people have a desire to be reunited with their Vulcan brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's part of what then Spock does, is to try to begin teaching them Vulcan ways to try to build, relationship between the two. But
so there you go.
yeah,
basically I need to watch Unification then.
Yeah, right. It's a great episode.
It is.
That's a
two-parter.
Yep. And it's worth it.
I remember watching it a couple of times, in fact. Well, thanks. Now we know a little bit more about Romulans.
Yeah.
Gotta have an intro in the next. So Greg, what do you got on your rundown for this week?
Let's take a look. These are odds and ends and bits and pieces from fandom. Thor, Love and Thunder, as you know, is in theaters, and it's not meeting the initial box office estimates, but the movie is number one this week. It earned $143 million this weekend, but it's not doing well at Rotten Tomatoes. With 289 reviews, the movie's score has dropped to 68%, and the audience score is at 83%. So the Rotten Tomatoes score is not good for Thor, Love and Thunder. Minions, The Rise of Gru. We've got to go see that. I think that would be fun. That actually is doing well. Second at the box office with $45.5 million. That film has totally embarrassed Pixar's Lightyear. Lightyear's total gross over the past 4 weeks has been $112 million, and that's over the last month. The first theatrical poster is out for Rob Zombie's The Munsters. I think this is cool.
I'm trying to pull it.
Yeah, this is great. The first, and I'm excited to see this. There's the poster. There it is, The Munsters, and there's also a teaser trailer that has been released, which recreates the original opening of the show. So can you scroll down a little bit? Right there. That's it. Yeah, let's roll that. Same music. Herman through the door. Oh, yeah.
I can't remember who's playing her.
I'm not sure. Here's Grandpa with his shovel. But he's got a mustache here.
He looks like Ted Cruz.
And so that's most of it. And then there's a little bit more. They just let that roll because it's going to, the all-new movie, it's coming. Okay, 2022 in color. And then there's this.
Well, now what?
Now what?
I gotta imagine that's opening then what? Probably right before Halloween.
Which would be perfect. So we're starting to see the teaser trailer, which is awesome. Fans are also seeing the first images from the upcoming Predator movie called Prey. You seen this? The movie web also reports that, as they're talking about it, that the movie finds the Predator doing battle with Naru, a young Comanche warrior who protects her tribe against a predator. So we're going back into the past, around the year 1400. Historically, were women known to? No. Well, they are in this case, which means, yeah, count me out. No interest in seeing the Predator. Also, the Batman costume from 1997's Batman and Robin has gone on the auction block. This is the one that George Clooney wore the suit. So it has an opening bid set at $40,000. But you'll have to pay extra if you want to fumigate the suit. Also, because that movie stunk. It was bad. It was bad jazz. Suit's not bad. That's the one with the nipples.
I was going to say opening bid for the nipple suit, 40 grand.
And then everybody's talking about the season 3 finale of The Boys. We've not seen this yet. I've got to see it. There was a death in the season's final episode. No spoilers. And we still haven't seen it. Katie and I haven't. So that's going to be a priority, I think, for me is to go. I'm on vacation this week. So I'm making it a priority to watch the rest of The Boys, season 3.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. And that's the rundown this week.
Awesome. Well, we always have this now.
The Cave of Wonders.
Huh? Cave of Wonders?
This week in the Cave of Wonders, something a little bit different. These are products from Avon. That's right. Avon, known for,
Avon lady.
Yeah, exactly. Certainly would have been in these days that these came out. This is a Batman hairbrush from 1976 that was produced by Avon in the shape of the Cape Crusader. And no, I don't use it as a brush for obvious reasons.
Stiff breeze in your hair.
Yeah, that would hurt. I think that would hurt my head. And then also, this is Batmobile Bubble Bath in 1978. That is filled. I will tell you this, because the one that is sitting there is empty. I have one in the box that's full.
Oh, wow.
But the one sitting on top is empty. And I will have to tell you, that is the foulest smelling crap I have ever smelled in my life. That was, just rinsing that out of there, and it was, wow. It was bad.
Oh, delicious it is.
Well, I suppose it's probably past its prime.
I don't know. Does bubble bath age?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it has an expiration date on it.
Well, it's not food. I'm not going to eat it.
No, but it's like anything else. Plastics break down and whatnot, so that they all have expiration dates on them.
You're really reaching.
Because
I'll open that thing up and you take it.
No. Because if I remember it, that's not the only bubble bath you have either, is it?
No, I'm sure not. I've got other stuff
I know you got
that I
at least
purchased.
Yeah.
Which is much later than this.
Oh yeah, no,
this
I'm
from
talking
1978.
Yeah, no, I know the other stuff you've got, and it's only been within the last
only
probably,
from 1998.
Well, I think you have some that's probably from like 2018 as well.
Right. Soap? I'm not buying Batman soap.
Bought it for the bottle, not for the soap.
I don't know.
Because you were on a
You'll
mission.
have to show me.
You were on a mission to go we had to run to I don't know how many Walgreens to be able to find it too.
I think that was Crazy Foam.
Crazy Foam. Okay, Crazy Foam. My bad, not soap.
That was, yeah. I could reach it. I'm afraid I'm going to knock over a bunch of stuff. It's right back here. Batman Crazy Foam. They remade it.
Now go ahead and point. We got a big camera.
Right back here.
You're just out of frame. Sorry. It's okay. We can feature it another week.
Those figures are really touchy.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
So I'll hear you in here, and all of a sudden,
you hear me curse, and then you hear me curse again, and curse again.
I was gonna say a string of explicitives, but yeah.
When things start to fall apart in here, it's dominoes falling. It's not good.
So, Greg, what do we have what are you looking forward to watching this week?
We've got to finish watching The Boys.
Yep, definitely.
Honestly,
finish watching The Boys.
Yeah, I think that's. You watched I wanted to get you to talk about this, actually, because what was the name of that series you just watched?
The Man Who Fell to Earth. And
Yes.
it's actually based on a novel, and I think they actually did a movie about it in the 70s or the 80s that featured David Bowie.
Yes.
But I think it was a movie. I don't think it was actually a TV series. And I can't think of the actor's name who plays the alien. He's the same guy who plays Mordo in the Marvel universe. I'm terrible about remembering actors' names. I just know what they've played in other movies.
Yeah, I have to write them down.
Yeah.
Or I forget who they are.
And who else is all in that? Kate Mulgrew's in it. Can't think of the guy's name. He's in Westworld. That's another thing we have to start watching.
I agree.
He's
that
in
new
Westworld.
season of Westworld's out. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of that have you watched without me?
Just one episode.
Well,
and I
that's
didn't
pretty
finish
kind of you.
Yeah, there's
Thank
3.
you.
I think there's 3 episodes out right now. But yeah, The Man Who Fell to Earth. And there's another actor in there who I can't think of what else he's been in. It's one of those ones I'm gonna have to pull him up on screen. Be like, Greg, who is that? Because
This is what she does to me. Greg, who is this?
Well, Greg's faster than Google.
You're sweet. Thank you.
Basic premise of the show is, though, it kind of has a bit of the Superman theme going where his planet's dying.
Right.
So he's fired off,
Right.
and then the Earth is dying as well. So there's a bit of a climate change thing going with it. But his planet's supposed to die in like 2 years. Earth's supposed to die in like 6 years, or irreparably be damaged within 6 years. So like he's trying to build a fusion something and gets it working. Of course, the CIA is mad at him, so they chase him. I mean, that's the down and dirty of it.
Yeah, because one of the actors from Westworld is in that too.
Yeah, that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
He's the younger version of Ed Harris's character in Westworld.
Yes. Yeah. Good actor, actually. I like him.
Can't think of his name.
And neither can I, and I just looked it up.
Ed Harris, he's always referred to a lot as the Man in Black in Westworld, but it's the younger version of him. But yeah, there's a lot of good characters in there. Like I said, the one reason I got hooked onto that one is because I had seen that Kate Mulgrew was in there.
And she's great.
Yeah, she is. She's not actually, I thought she'd be more prominent in there, but she's not.
More of a minor role that she's playing.
Yep. But it's a good science fiction movie. I mean, I think I got the whole thing watched all Saturday, so, which isn't uncommon for me, but it's a good thing. The first 3 episodes are available on Paramount Plus, and then the last 7, math is not my strong suit, are available. You got to get them on Showtime, so that's where you can get it.
You were popping all over to watch this.
Yeah. No, I had found just.
What are you back and watching again now? Because you started watching Billions. That is a good show.
Yeah, I got to get back through season 2 of Westworld, though. I got a bad habit because I binge shows. I got to rewatch the whole thing before I watch the new season so I can half-assed remember what's going on.
You ever catch up? I mean, seriously. People must think you do nothing but watch TV.
Pretty much. Don't ask me how many times I've watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. I'll maybe go back and watch an episode or 2.
Yeah.
But because that will be, okay, now I kind of remember, all right, I'm back into it, all right, I get it.
See, the problem with season 3 of Westworld is it was supposed to release in like 2020, late 2020, early 2021, but then COVID had pushed it back.
Pandemic, yeah.
And then they had gotten for whatever reason, they were a little late in releasing it because of who knows what, probably COVID again. And so, it had been so long since I watched it. And that's a really intricate show. I mean, there's a lot of different storylines, and they bounce back and forth a lot between different timelines.
Yes.
Because you're
confusing.
Right. And you're going from different people's memory. And that seems to be a theme throughout all the seasons thus far. So it can be a little confusing. And so when I started watching the first season or the first episode of season 4, I'm like, I have no idea what the heck was even going on. So yeah, I had to go back. Rewatch season 3, and then I rewatched season 1, so I may as well rewatch season 2. It's a very good show.
It is a great show. I like it too.
If
very well done.
If your only memory of Westworld or is synonymous is with the 1970s something movie,
yes,
it is very, very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I love the original movie Westworld.
Yep.
It was a great movie, and it led, in fact, to a number of spinoffs, movies that they did.
Right.
Great, but I agree with you. This Westworld is something totally different.
Very good actors, very good writing. It was a little sad they killed off Anthony Hopkins, but that had to happen.
He was terrific in it.
I've never seen him in anything I haven't liked. I guess maybe as Thor's father in Marvel, that's been about the only one where I'm just like, meh.
Yeah.
That could have been anybody, any old guy with a beard.
Well, that was Loki pretending to be him, though.
Yeah, I think in the original Thor, though, he's actually
could
have been Loki.
It wasn't one of the later movies.
And then
you've seen the Thor movies, haven't you?
Oh gosh, I don't even know how many times.
All right.
Got to rewatch them again because we got to go watch, Thor: Love and Thunder.
I just am not interested. Are you?
I don't know. I mean, there's something I could say for what I feel like, but I'm not gonna say that right here. We'll probably get us get our finger. Anyway, kind of feel like just it's kind of like Rocco every time you have food. Every time you open the refrigerator, every time you sit down and have something, every time we take the grill cover off the dog.
I want,
and I'm so hopeful that I'm going to get something and it's going to be the best something I ever get, and your dinners is my dinners. That's what I kind of feel like when I go and see any of these new Marvel movies anymore, where it's like, I hope, and then I don't get crap.
Yeah.
Where
I agree.
I didn't get nothing off the plate.
And you and I talked about that with Moon Knight, watching that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of investing time in hopes of, you know what? This is going to get good. I just got to give this some time. If I just give this some time, this is going to get good. No, it's not. No, it sucks. It pretty much sucks. So why waste? I'm honestly, there are other things that have I watched them before? Yeah. Do I like them? Yeah. That's why I'm watching them again. I don't care.
Right.
I'd much rather watch something that I know and enjoy rather than some of this stuff that I watch in hopes that I'm going to enjoy it. No, it's going to suck.
I think I've gotten to the point where some studios, I've lowered my,
lowered your expectations?
Yeah, I don't remember where it came from, but if you lower your expectations so low, you're never disappointed.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, that's maybe why I thought like Jurassic World was maybe better than what it was. Because I had lowered my expectations so far. I'm like, it's going to be a Jurassic Park 3 or Jurassic 3. It's not going to be Jurassic Park. I even liked Lost. But it gave me what I wanted. Dinosaurs in action. And I got to see the old characters I liked.
I liked it, but
as long as it ticked those boxes for me, I was happy.
Yeah.
But anymore with man, Marvel, I hate bashing on Marvel all the time, but.
Well, then, you know what? If Marvel doesn't want us to bash on them, stop producing the crap.
Right.
Stop giving us garbage.
Because you can produce new stuff and it be good.
Yeah.
And
Strange New Worlds. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is a great example.
Star Trek's been around.
Alienating fans.
Star Trek's been around for 60 plus years.
Yep.
I think 60 years. Keep it fresh somehow. And some of the stuff is a miss, but for the vast majority of stuff, it's a hit.
Yeah. Well, the stuff they're producing now is, and I'm with you, Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, it's another conversation.
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds is not Star Trek Discovery.
No. And that's why you were pleasantly surprised with that when it was good. We liked it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I watched Strange New Worlds. How long did I last watch? I didn't last very long. I made it through good part of the first season. getting into
Discovery.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said Strange New World.
Or excuse me, yeah, Discovery. Then getting into, they just started to lose me, and I'm done. This is not Star. I know Star Trek when I see it. Like when you and I reviewed the Batman.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see my 4K copy DVD?
I will have to drop that into the
4K?
Xbox. And
Just came. Yeah. So that's available now for those of you who like the Batman. Because that was being held initially for a little bit because they were doing some stuff on HBO Now and whatnot.
Yep.
So I saw that the other day. I'm like, oh, it's out. I'm getting it
Piece
now.
of candy.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, piece of candy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just, and that's one thing, like, we watch reviews on YouTube and stuff like that too. So, I mean, we watch other people's reviews of stuff we've watched just to kind of see what other people think of what we watch.
Yeah.
And it's, man, some of them, it's just like you hate watching the same people over and over and over again, and they're YouTubers and stuff I typically like to watch because they're entertaining. But it's just like, here's another show. Here's another show I don't like. Here's another show that stinks. Here's another, and it's the same three things on which reasons why they don't like it. There's nothing
And
new.
I don't see the point in that, do you?
No. I mean, that's why we're a little different. I mean, we anything we're reviewing, we've seen.
And I would rather come and be able to talk positively about something and saying, here are good reasons why you should go see this.
Right.
This is why you should take the time, because time is valuable. I know we all waste some amount of time, but let's be honest, time is valuable. You've only got a certain amount of time to be able to watch stuff, and if I recommend it to you, I want it to be worth your time. I don't want it to be a waste of your time.
And that's why, like, when we start bringing up certain shows or certain franchises, it's just kind of like,
well, that's it. And I read this new Predator movie. I mentioned that in the rundown.
And you really enjoyed the original Predator.
I love Predator. And it's, and that thing is spun into a number of movies itself and then into the Alien franchise. I mean, all that stuff. So, yeah, I love Predator. And I won't watch the crap that I look at the storyline. No, sorry. This just screams woke to me. I won't be there.
There's not anything really compelling there besides the fact that they went back.
Yeah, the 1700s.
1400s.
Or excuse me. Yeah, it's 1400s. Excuse me. 1400s, I think.
Anyway. But yeah, so I guess we can only hope. So I don't know if we'll go see. Maybe we wait till Thor comes out to the theater.
I heard from somebody that I trust who loved it.
Yep.
But she loved it in part because you've got Jane who winds up becoming Thor, and you see that in the previews that she's wearing the costume, got the hammer and all that. And and then I heard from another friend of mine who said, took her daughter to it, did not like it. And I thought, I'm leaning more toward not going to see it.
Maybe we wait until it comes out on Disney Plus, which we won't. Time it comes out. Disney Plus is out of the rotation, folks.
Right.
Given till something new comes out, I'm not picking it up again until this winter when Mandalorian comes back out.
At least we got something to look forward to.
Right. We can watch Westworld, I guess.
Yeah. But no, you're right. This Westworld, absolutely. Yeah. I would agree with you. And what I have seen of The Boys, again, I've not seen all this
I
new
love
one,
that show.
But I do. It's rough, but I love that show.
This is not a show you watch with your kids. This is, I mean, it's adult. It's very graphic. It's very gory. And the humor is very adult.
Yeah.
So
but there's great acting in it.
There is.
Anthony
Absolutely.
Starr, who plays Highlander,
Yep.
or Homelander rather, excuse me.
Yep.
Is actually, I think he is incredibly compelling.
Kurt, can't think of the guy's name who plays McCoy.
It'll come to me. Yeah. Almost had it.
See if I can find
It's Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. There we go.
Yep.
I wonder. Apparently, I'm thinking.
See, this is why I can't think of names ever. You set me up with the wrong first name.
I guess I was trying to go for Kurt Cobain or something. I don't know. But
if
that's
you
Nirvana.
were to give me the correct first name, it would be much easier to go Carl Urban. Yeah.
You know, there is a really good SNL skit that they did about like this is the mom actor translator thing where it's this little thing where you like type in, actor that mom thinks it is. I would love to play it, but anytime you play SNL stuff over YouTube, you get copyright strike automatically. So that's why I don't play it. But yeah, that's pretty much me anytime I'm trying to come up with an actor.
That's all right. Here to help when I can. Yeah, Carl Urban is good.
Yeah,
but I have thought that of all Carl Urban's work.
The guy who plays Scotty is in there as well.
Yeah.
He's the father.
Yeah.
The kid.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh.
Did we wake the dynamic director?
Yeah, the dynamic director comes by about every 40 minutes for attention. And
he's telling us to wrap it up, I think, is what, yeah.
Yeah, because he has to go pee.
Right. He's not the only one. Thank you so much for letting us join you this week. Again, if you like the show, we hope you give us a thumbs up. Please comment, share it with other people that you think might enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you again next week. Same time, same bad channel.